Everybody knows Ron Paul wants to end the Fed, supposedly, or audit the Fed. I don't know. He's been on a commission, subcommittee, I should say, that's been overseeing the Federal Reserve since January 1st of this year. I don't know anything they've accomplished. I know every time Ron Paul has a money bomb, I see people post that like crazy, but I don't ever see anything like, oh, the subcommittee overseeing the Federal Reserve that Ron Paul's running is accomplishing this. They've done that. No. I haven't watched any of his campaign footage. I see everybody's been talking about that and going around doing a little dance. But see, I went back and I looked. Because when did I become so anti-Paul? I was such a wrong because Paul wanted to end the Federal Reserve and put these guys on trial. I was like, wow, I like him. I like him. 2005, 2006, 2007, back in those years. 2008, I was all about Ron Paul. I was all about him. Every forum, social networking site, you name it. Got to get people out there for Ron Paul. Got to get them. Got to get people out there. We got to get Ron Paul. He's our hope. He's our chance. He's our man. Of course, instead we got John McCain and Sarah Palin. But why didn't Ron Paul? Because see, this is what I expected back in 2008. I was like, oh, well, of course the GOP is a criminal, Zionist, warmongering, fascist party. Most of the Republican people, voters that are going to show up to the primaries are people who thought George Bush was a great president, that Herbert Walker Bush was great, and that Ronald Reagan was probably the greatest president of all time. Those people aren't going to go and vote for Ron Paul. They're going to go vote for whoever's going to tell them about the boogeyman that we got to go kill. Because they don't believe in Jesus or something. That's who they're going to vote for. So Ron Paul's going to, he's going to make a lot of money. He's going to win a lot of online polls. He's going to see all our support. And he's going to say when the time comes, I'm running as an independent. And then we all win. I was 110% sure that was what Ron Paul was going to do. But he didn't. He had all that millions of dollars and all that support and a revolution that just kind of stood around looking like, wow, now what do we do? But why? So I had to go find out what was the reason why. Well, at the time, Ron Paul's spokesman, Jesse Benson, said, now pay attention to this for everyone who thinks that once Ron Paul loses the primaries this time around that he's going to run as an independent, because I want you to understand. In order to be on the GOP primary ballot in at least 11 states, including Texas, Ron Paul has to pledge that he would not seek the presidency on another ticket if he failed to secure the GOP nomination. So in order to be on this primary ballots now, coming up, you have to take a pledge that you will not run as a third-party candidate. So when you sit back for a moment and you think about the majority of what is registered Republicans, I don't think you're going to find that many of them are end the fetters or 9/11 truthers, or against blowing up people in the Middle East who've never done anything to us. Don't think that we should cut off all our money to places like Israel and Pakistan and Egypt. Well, they'll probably say Pakistan and Egypt, but not Israel. Are you counting on those people to elect Ron Paul? Don't you think someone like Sarah Palin's more likely to get their vote? People who thought that George Bush, both Bushes, Ronald Reagan, these guys were great presidents. I mean, they won their primaries. We could say it's rigged. Okay, well, yeah, I agree with that. The electronic voting and all that takes place in the primaries is rigged. So, going on the theory that it's all rigged, how do you expect Ron Paul to win it then? See, people say George Bush won because the votes were rigged. But they don't think rigging will take place this time. Some think Ron Paul will run as an independent, but he's not. It's not going to happen. Get a lot of hate for that. I get a lot of hate for that. I don't know. It's to me, I feel like I've like someone who goes to war and comes back from war and is going back again and tells the rookies that, hey, this is what it's going to be like, and they're like, oh, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You're full of shit. That's what I feel like. You know, I don't care about the war. You know, the anonymous people don't have any pictures of themselves up there, don't have their real names up, calling me names, yeah, whatever. But I mean, like, real good people that I know and interact with, some of whom I respect, call me a shill? Are you kidding me? A shill? For my message of don't support the Republican, find someone else, find a third party, find an independent candidate, find someone. If you believe in this whole freaking voting system and you want to participate in this system, but you want it to be the system that you think it's possible of being, then vote for someone who has the same beliefs as you and is going to be on that ballot instead. That makes me a shill? You kidding me? That seems to me like the most logical message of this movement. If the movement is to keep this government system, of course I have my own vision, where it's, let's just do away with all of it. I like that one. That's my favorite. A lot of people live in too much fear for that one to possibly be a reality just by us choosing it to be our reality. A lot of people think they need a lot of things in place to protect them from things. Yet they are the only ones who are their own protectors. But wouldn't the message, if this whole movement was to, we need to elect a president that's going to save us, wouldn't it be supporting someone who isn't a Republican or Democrat, who's an independent candidate, who's going to be on the ballot for sure? Be positive. I just see, when I see that Ron Paul has to, you know, take a pledge not to run as an independent, to be on this Republican primary ballot, I'll say stop with the money bomb, stop with all the Ron Pauling. Like, he's on TV, you get it. You know, just like when people make the argument that voting machines are rigged, and yet we got to go out and participate and vote. So they're the same ones who are like, oh, the mainstream media is controlled, it's propaganda of the New World Order, except for when they bring Ron Paul on. Then it's a beacon of light and truth, breaking through like a ray of sunlight coming through your window. But it's not. It's just a distraction. Now people are running around going, oh, look, he's winning the poll, but they're saying that he's not. Who cares? It's a media created distraction. He isn't going to be on the ballot. You're wasting precious time. You don't want a new world order, but you're wasting precious time on something that everybody should be able to see. I understand if people just started coming to all this a year ago, 2 years ago, or whatever. But if you've been awake and you've taken your red pill and it's been years and years and years, then you should see this as plain as day, because you've already lived it. Talk about how history repeated itself when we compare 9/11 and the Reichstag fire. Look at the big time of gap there was between the Reichstag fire and 9/11. It's a huge gap. Homeland Security and Fatherland Security, Enabling Act and Patriot Act, and on down the line. Auschwitz, Guantanamo. What we're seeing right now with Ron Paul, we just saw 3 years ago. It's the same scenario repeating. It's the same exact scenario. Everybody's going to give them money. Everybody's going to get their hope up. People are going to put signs everywhere. I saw more Ron Paul signs in 2007, 2008 than I saw for any candidate ever in the state of Pennsylvania. Ever. I don't know about your state and what you saw driving around, but I'll tell you right here in Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh area, north of it, northwest there, Ron Paul all over the place. All over it. I'm going to see that all over again. But the result's going to be the same. It's going to be Sarah Palin or Mitt Romney, some other idiot. Who else? Michelle Bachmann. They'll find someone. Have to see who the Council for National Policy vets. Of course, they brought Bush in and McCain in and gave them the approval. The same Council for National Policy that has the same members such as Paul Craig Roberts and Jerome Corsai, Charlotte Iserbyt, and on down the line, all these so-called revolutionaries in this movement, all these regulars on Mr. Megaphone's show, all Republicans, all members of the Council for National Policy. They'll pick the next candidate. It's what they do for the Republican Party, for the conservative. They're the conservative CFR. Everybody knows about the Council of Foreign Relations, but not too many people know about the Council for National Policy. The conservative version of the CFR.